nation record of 16.32 meters in his second attempt. In a remarkable set of achievements, Bharat has broken its historic medal tally from Tokyo Paralympic Games, collecting 21 medals comprising 3 gold, 8 silver and 10 bronze so far. We're still counting and expecting more medals, ladies and gentlemen. A thrilling late evening rush of 4 medals this Wednesday. This achievement surpasses previous record of 19 medals during the Tokyo Games 3 years ago. Meanwhile, Harvinder Singh has progressed to the next round with a sensational 7-3 win in the men's individual recurve open 1:16 elimination game with a win over Seng Lung Hui. Moving on from sports, the World Bank has raised its growth forecast for our economy to 7% for the current financial year, that is FY25, up from an earlier projection of 6.6% according to a statement. This upward revision comes amid expectations of stronger economic performance driven by key factors such as private consumption and investment. The Defence Acquisition Council, under the chairmanship of the Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh, approved 10 capital acquisition proposals amounting to 1,44,716 crore rupees. And the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Khalid bin Mohammed, attended the inauguration of the first international campus of Bharat's prestigious Indian Institute of Technology, or IIT, in the UAE capital. This inauguration comes just days ahead of the Prince's scheduled visit to Bharat on the 8th of September. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, our top focus on this edition of The Right Stand. Bulldozer brawl in Uttar Pradesh. Big fight between Yogi Adityanath and Akhilesh Yadav. It's the verbal fisticuffs that's thrown this entire bulldozer politics into spotlight. And on the unprecedented violence in Manipur, how China, Myanmar, Thailand, this entire narco nexus, the Golden Triangle, is actually fueling the violence. It's a drug economy of 60,000 crore plus. More foreign hands. Are they involved along with the Chinese? Exclusive details coming up on The Right Stand. How the West used radical Islamists to destabilize Bangladesh. The Islamists hijacked the protests, the student protests, but that was part of a larger design. We'll get you the exclusive inputs on a report that's been published earlier this evening by those who have studied the developments there very, very closely. And finally, the untold stories of IC814, stories that have not been spoken about but are important reminder of what transpired then and the learnings thereof. Could these goof-ups, this major mishap, that incident of 1999 have been avoided? We'll tell you later tonight on this edition of The Right Stand. But first up, it's a massive war of words that's erupted between the Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav and Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath over the bulldozer action. Now, the showdown started with Akhilesh Yadav questioning the legality of the Chief Minister's residence and saying that all bulldozers will shift to the direction of Gorakhpur or move to Gorakhpur after the Samajwadi Party comes back into power in 2027 Uttar Pradesh elections. Now, hitting back at Akhilesh Yadav, Yogi Adityanath said, bulldozer चलाना हर किसी के बस की बात नहीं है, उसके लिए दिल और दिमाग दोनों चाहिए होता है और हर किसी के हाथ में बुलडोजर नहीं बैठता. Can't handle that bulldozer. That's what he had said.
बुलडोजर पे हर एक व्यक्ति के हाथ नहीं फिट हो सकते. इसके लिए दिल और दिमाग दोनों चाहिए.
और जहां तक दिल और दिमाग, हमारे पत्रकार साथी आपको सबको पता है कि कोई पहली बार बात नहीं मैं कह रहा हूं और फिर कहता हूं, बुलडोजर में दिमाग नहीं होता है, स्टीयरिंग होता है. उसमें स्टीयरिंग से चलता है बुलडोजर. उत्तर प्रदेश की जनता कब किसका स्टीयरिंग बदल दे या दिल्ली वाले कब किसका स्टीयरिंग बदल दें.
Let's go straight across to Anila Singh of the BJP and Pradeep Bhati, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. My namaste and Jai Hind to the two of you. Thank you very, very much. Anila ji, thereafter Akhilesh ji has taken to X and he has said that Maharaj should actually think of starting his own party with the Chunavi chin of bulldozer. And he's taken a few jibes at him thereafter.
My Raman to all. And I think Akhilesh Yadav ji is sitting idle. That is why he is tweeting. That is why he is giving such lame statements about bulldozer, about the governance of Yogi Adityanath ji. Because he knows very well that Bulldozer Baba is a hero not only in Uttar Pradesh but in Bharat itself. And I can very well say that across the borders of Bharat too. So when a political party's head sees that the popularity of ruling party's head is so much that there is no chance of his coming back in 27, he says, if we come back in 27, all the bulldozers, they will start marching towards Gorakhpur. So you want to demolish Gorakhnath Mutt there? Because Gorakhpur is known for Gorakhnath Mutt. So that is your intention. We very well know that you bailed out the person who was involved in Gorakhpur bomb blast. And his name was Mohammed Tariq, most probably. Mohammed Tariq, yes. You bailed him out. So now you want to demolish Gorakhnath Mutt as well. This is the hatred for Sanatanis. This is the hatred for Hindus. And history is witness that how you have always stood against Hindus, and your democratic definition is appeasement. And Yogi Adityanath ji is standing in between as a strong wall, that no appeasement in my state. So you say that Bulldozer should be the party symbol and he should launch his own political party. Sir, Yogi Adityanath ji is our hero of Bharatiya Janata Party. We love him. He's not going anywhere. You think about twice about your politics.
The jibe is that he's been made a pariah within the party and nobody listens to him. He's been isolated. So आज ना कल तो आपको पार्टी शुरू करनी ही पड़ेगी. लेकिन ये बुलडोजर का जो रिएक्शन है, is this Pradeep Bhatti ji, is it because Yogi Adityanath suddenly is also cracking down on corruption? Government employees' salaries also will now be withheld if they don't disclose their Manav Sampada on the Manav Sampada portal. Some of these appointments have happened during the times of the Samajwadi Party regime. That's the allegation.
Thank you, Anand, and good evening to all. See, Anand, Bulldozer is a justice which is considered as an act of mindless governance. It is now very much evident that after this Honorable Supreme Court, the primary discussion that has happened in the Honorable Supreme Court, it is evident that all the tall claims that taking action on mafia criminals or giving quick justice is just an eyewash and emotional gimmicks to gain votes. Why the Yogi government has done a same chest thumping in front of Honorable Supreme Court? They took complete U-turn there and described this action as anti-encroachment drive. Is this just to seek a political mileage, or by giving an impression that these actions are for anti-social elements? This is merely a tool of getting gains in vote. So why I request then BJP and CM Yogi to withdraw all his public chest thumping, that what statements there he has made in the past about the bulldozer, and why he is taking this U-turn, or the BJP or CM Yogi should accept that bulldozer is a form of repatriation of selected committee or harassing opposition leader. These all the statements of CM Yogi is given in a futile exercise to save his chair. In fact, and to drive and deviate from the core issues of Uttar Pradesh, the issues of flood. So 69,000 teachers are still on dharna. The corruption, rampant corruption happening in Uttar Pradesh, the injustice to farmers, students, common man. Don't run away. Is saying is what your center government is want to listen. These all statements are not for the opposition. These are all for the center government, that I am here, I'll do that and do whatever you want to do. Because their own ministers are saying, their alliance partners are saying, the bulldozer, but with bulldozer you cannot get votes. And same thing has happened in Ayodhya, and same thing has happened in the entire Uttar Pradesh.
There is one point.
Ground is
one point, sir. Political narrative, तो हर कोई बढ़ाता है. But the fact is, don't get so far away from fact. Lok Sabha Kshetra was Faizabad, Vidhan Sabha Kshetra was Ayodhya. Ayodhya Vidhan Sabha was won by the BJP. So there is let's not then conveniently change Faizabad to Ayodhya because it's politically convenient. When they said we'll change Faizabad to Sri Ayodhya, then it was politically inconvenient, and you said oh नाम बदलने का ये पूरा politics चल रहा है. अब आप क्या कर रहे हैं? So that's one part. But the other part is Anila Singh ji. This is the allegation.
You want to also deviate
This,
that.
no. This is the allegation. I'm coming back to the. Sir, I'm coming back to the point. I'm asking Anila Singh what your.
BJP that who.
I'm asking this only.
They want.
No.
And Faizabad Lok Sabha includes Ayodhya.
Correct. So Faizabad Lok Sabha includes Ayodhya. Ayodhya is not Faizabad. Ayodhya is not Faizabad. So that's one point. The second point is the person who won Ayodhya, the Samajwadi Party tried to project that person as Ram. Now that's also an insult to Prabhu Shri Ram. And I think the Yaduvanshis are still asthais of Ram. But we are digressing. Let's just come back to let's come back to your arguments. फिर आप कहेंगे मैंने जो आरोप लगाया वो तो आपने पता ही नहीं. अनिला जी, बुलडोजर बहाना है, असली विषय से जनता को भटकाना है. That's the charge.
नहीं, ये चार्ज तो अखिलेश यादव जी पे लगना चाहिए कि बुलडोजर बहाना है. असली मुद्दा तो एक रिलीजियस कम्युनिटी को अपने साथ ही मनाकर रखना है. दिस इज व्हाट ही इज सेइंग ऑल दीज थिंग्स जस्ट टू प्लीज वन रिलीजियस कम्युनिटी. And we are not here to do any sort of appeasement politics. We are here to deliver the governance. And in that, if anybody wants to throw bricks on us, throw in the form of tweets or in the form of words or in the form of statements, you are more than welcome to do that. Because Yogi Adityanath ji is not a confused person. He is not a confused person at all. He knows that what he is doing and he will keep on doing that. Many of the chief ministers in other states, they are following him. Why they are following him? Because they know it very well that whatever he is doing in all legality. All legality. These political parties, whether we talk about the Congress or whether we talk about the Samajwadi Party, they are standing with the Jamaat. And what is Jamaat? Jamaat वही है ना जो तालिबानियों के साथ खड़ी होती है.
Like I said, let's come back to Bulldozer. The point that Pradeep Bhati is saying is, if the demolitions that have happened are on illegal property and illegalities, and these people incidentally turned out to be criminals. So for the जनता there is a sense of justice that जिन्होंने कर्म किया या जिन्होंने कुकर्म किया उनको आप बुलडोजर चला रहे हैं उन पर, क्योंकि उनके legally in that daira, in that boundary, that these were all illegal areas. So we have not broken the whole house, only the portion that was illegal. But the Samajwadi Party and Pradeep Bhati here, Anila Singh is saying, Supreme Court में आपके सुर बदल गए. What did you say in the Supreme Court? That's the question they are asking.
बिल्कुल सुर नहीं बदले. हम अपने स्टैंड पे अभी भी बिल्कुल क्लियर है कि अगर किसी ने एनक्रोचमेंट किया है, अगर किसी ने इलीगल कंस्ट्रक्शन किया है, अगर एनक्रोच लैंड पे, जमीन पे, सड़क पर आपने इलीगल बिल्डिंग को कंस्ट्रक्ट किया है, आपको ऑर्डर्स सर्व होंगे कि वेदर यू योरसेल्फ demolish it, correct it, or we are going to do it. When they do not take proper measures, then definitely government has got all the rights, under the rules that they can take action. So the respective department, whether the development authorities or the Nagar Nigams, they take action, or the revenue department. So if they take action, so nothing is illegal here. If somebody says, अरे वो बेचारा तो अपराधी तो था, क्रिमिनली तो था, उसका घर क्यों गिरा दिया, उसकी दुकान क्यों गिरा दी, और उसकी जो मल्टी स्टोरेड बिल्डिंग थी वो क्यों गिरा दी. You're standing, you're advocating for the criminal, sir. If that criminal has done something wrong, illegal construction, if the authorities have served notices to him, and if he has not taken corrective measures, then authorities have got all the right to take action.
Pradeep Bhati has a counter. Yes, Pradeep.
I wish Anila ji would have been the better Advocate General in Supreme Court from the state of Uttar Pradesh, and by same chest thumping what Mr. with CM Yogi has stated, that all this has been done for the mafias, the criminals, and all the anti-social element. What has happened in the Supreme Court then? Why don't you utter a single word there that it has been done for the mafias, for the criminals? Don't give these lip service here in the studio. Do that in the Supreme Court, Honorable Supreme Court, in front of the Supreme Court. When the Yogi government do not have anything to showcase in the name of development in the economy of Uttar Pradesh, they try to hide their ill deeds. And these statements are more visible and prominent whenever there is a serious issue in Uttar Pradesh, whether it's a flood and people are there outside, or this recruitment drive, 69,000 teachers which are on dharna from last 2.5 years.
You've talked about the other issue. May I join issue with you, sir, on one question to the BJP? With your permission, Pradeep ji.
Bulldozer Baba, that's your state of mind.
See, it started with a sense of justice, or perhaps a sense of soothing to the people who feel that they have been done injustice by these criminal elements, कि उनके घर पे bulldozer चला है. So by the time the law takes its course and the actual crime is punished, there is a sense of punishment, and that too the government so far has been saying we have only demolished the illegal parts of these property. But Anila ji, the allegation is, the allegation one way, that it is selective. It is selective, that you have picked and chosen the illegalities. An illegal construction is an illegal construction. So what about those who have allowed these illegal constructions? Unke ghar bulldozer chale. Those authorities and those officials who allowed these constructions to happen, what action is being taken against them if you are against illegal construction, Anila ji? And the fact is that it's selective. If that person is seen close to the Samajwadi Party or the opposition, or let's say not close to another party but distant from the BJP, then go ahead and attack.
No, it is not like that. It is not like that at all. And under all the governments, whether it is Bharatiya Janata Party government or BSP or Samajwadi Party or the Congress Party, in my state, in Uttar Pradesh, and I am pretty sure in other states as well, the government departments, they do these sort of drives. It is called anti-encroachment drives. They serve notices. Even under the tenure of Samajwadi Party, such drives, such actions has been taken. Yeah, but it is a different subject altogether. During their tenure, a majority of people from one particular religious community who are involved in different crimes and corruption, they got fair chance to do all illegal work. Chahe wo gundagardi ho, chahe illegal construction ho. So they got this opportunity.
Okay.
And now we are telling them that okay, fine.
Anila ji, we are having this conversation on illegal encroachments today, right? I'm a resident of Uttar Pradesh and I live in Gautam Budh Nagar. Tomorrow morning, that is on Thursday morning, on X, I will put out a video as is visible from my residence, current residence. The entire floodplains, Doob Kshetra, around the Hindon River. And you see the number of illegal constructions that have come there right under the nose of the authority today. When will the bulldozers function there? Till those entire tenements, hutments that have come right up to the river bank. Till the time there is one criminal there. Why are they coming up if you are against illegal constructions? Why is bulldozer there then, ma'am? Or will that hurt your own vote bank?
No, it is not about the vote bank. It is not about the vote bank. और बुलडोजर तो कभी भी चल सकता है, जो गलत है उसको गलत है. पर ये है कि अगर मैं उत्तर प्रदेश की बात करती हूँ, it is a state of 24 people reside. You want to say something, Anand?
No, please go ahead.
All right. So it is a state almost 25 crores of people residing. So it is. Yogi Adityanath is doing his best to control the corruption and the crime, but it takes time. But the reality is, if bulldozer does its work, and if it is on Samajwadi Party's worker or supporter or leader, they want to highlight it.
The allegation is that the bulldozer is running only on those close to Samajwadi Party.
That is the problem with them.
The allegation is that the bulldozer is running only, is functioning only against those who are close to the Samajwadi Party. That's the allegation. Whereas bulldozer, there is brazen, rampant encroachment happening on Doob Kshetra. That means floodplains, which are supposed to be by the NGT and by law left alone. They are farmlands. That's where brazen encroachment is happening in Gautam Budh Nagar. So, where is the crackdown? Where is the bulldozer there? It's a fair question to ask. Yes, Pradeep Bhati.
See, Anand, I hope the same courtesy and same time will be given to me on to reply to Anila.
I have 2 minutes on this debate. It's all yours, sir. Please go ahead.
So, the bulldozer, what now they are talking about the anti-encroachment drive that is happening in every government. and no government is making false claim or thumping their chest stating that this is done for mafias and criminals. That Mr. Yogi, BJP government is doing that. So first, either you take your words back, or either say that this is anti-encroachment drive, nothing more than that. The bulldozer has acquired as an instrument of street justice. It is not a reflection of social justice or justice as per the Indian laws. It is not eye for eye justice. So that BJP has to understand. But the irony is that how those people who are involved in all the land grabbing, the anti-social element, everybody is in Uttar Pradesh is in BJP.
Pradeepji.
So who is going to get affected? Definitely BJP persons, BJP leaders will get affected. So they will not talk about these. We have requested numerous times that please.
With due respect, in Uttar Pradesh, can you show me one criminal who's got a perfectly authorized tenement and settlement? There is no illegality on any property of a criminal in Uttar Pradesh.
I think
the point is, sir, it may not be an encroachment drive only. It could be a little more. It could be a little more.
Have you not seen the criminal playing cricket and police was bowling? Are you so unaware about Uttar Pradesh? So you are asking me this question? Have you not seen the IPS is involved in the extortion? Have you not seen?
What did I say? I'm not saying whether the person is a person in uniform, a sarkari adhikari, a neta, or a mafia don. I said, tell me one person who's not. Sir, I'm saying, tell me one person who's not done an illegal activity, who has a perfectly legal tenement.
But as soon as I started replying, you just.
No, sir, I'm asking you a question. Please complete.
What I'm saying is these kind of showcase which you are doing to show the kind of justice which you are not actually providing to the people of Uttar Pradesh. You are showcasing these things to gain votes in Uttar Pradesh.
Sir,
and all these things which you have done in the past, you have do not have guts to say that in the Honorable Supreme Court.
Sir, here is the truth. You're also a person who I respect, and I also believe is blessed with a certain level of wisdom. You would understand, sir, when crisis happens in a household, they not only want justice as per the law, they also want a immediate sense of justice. And you may call it street justice, but if it is within the confines of the law, and it uses that certain grey area of the law to provide a certain level of solace to the person who's been wronged and the family who's been wronged, then is a particular leader of the state right or wrong in doing it? We will let the Janta decide that. The courts may have their opinion, but the Janta has another opinion, and that's where it is. But in the meantime, sir, I will put out proof of brazen encroachment happening in Gautam Budh Nagar. You please tell me one criminal, one person illegal who's committed acts of illegality, who's got a legal tenement, who's living in a legal tenement. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Anyway, sir, I'm going to wind up on that note. We got news coming through from Karnataka. Anila ji, Pradeep Bhatti ji, sorry, I have to cut short this debate. Big news coming in from Karnataka, where the government has blinked. The Siddaramaiah ji led government has blinked. It's buckled under pressure. It's picked appeasement over merit. An embarrassing award U-turn on the eve of Teachers' Day. The principal was picked for honor. Now the state has rolled back its decision. Who's this principal? This is the same principal in Udupi who had enforced the hijab restriction in the college premises, who had come out and said that hijab is not allowed in the classroom. You can wear it in the campus, but not in the classroom. That very principal was picked for the best principal award, and now that's been rolled back. Harish Upadhyay joins us with more. Yes, Harish.
Anand, BG Ramakrishna was the principal of the Kundapur Government PU College, whose video we all recollect, where he was closing the gate on the girls who wanted to enter the campus with hijab, was picked for the Best Principal Award. It's a state level award given out on the Teachers' Day for his contribution for starting online classes for NEET in a government college, also establishing a library with more than 20,000 books. And after this news came out, there were several voices within the Congress and outside as well which questioned why the government was honoring a teacher who had gone against girls wearing hijab, and this goes against the Congress's stated principle. And in an embarrassing move now, the Congress, just a few hours before this award ceremony, which is stated for tomorrow, the Congress government has withdrawn its decision, and it has put its decision on hold. It's going ahead with the rest of the honoring ceremony for best teachers and lecturers, but this decision has been put on hold. Several questions will now come up on the process that was followed and why.
Has there been a reaction by the BJP and also by Principal Ramakrishna? Have you been able to speak with him, Harish?
Well, Ramakrishna hasn't spoken yet, but a few others that we have spoken from coastal Karnataka are saying that he was honored because he had contributed to this government PU college by establishing a library with more than 20,000 books and starting online classes. And they indicate how it's difficult to start all this in a government setup, despite that he had started, and he was being awarded for that, and the recognition was for that work that he had done. And it's wrong to look at this from an ideological move and withdraw his award.
Thank you for your inputs, Harish. We've tried to get in touch with Principal Ramakrishna, but clearly he's avoiding any comment at the moment. For the moment, moving on. Now, let's shift focus to what's happening in Manipur, ladies and gentlemen. We've been trying to highlight the reasons why there is strife there and asking this question, who is weaponizing Manipur? Now, these are exclusive inputs that have been stacked up for you here on this edition of The Right Stand from our Security Affairs editor, Manoj Kumar Gupta. Let's get into it. Intel sources have told CNN News 18 that Manipur's drug economy is being controlled by foreign agents. So there is a foreign element or a foreign agency which is involved in what's happening in Manipur. There's China there with the involvement of Chinese businessmen. There's Myanmar because that's the belt, and in Myanmar region is where a large amount of poppy cultivation is happening. There is a Thailand narco nexus given the Golden Triangle that's fueling this violence. A parallel narco economy of 60,000 crore is being run in Manipur with the help of these foreign agents. A homegrown problem between Kuki and Meiteis, which is a tribal conflict or an ethnic conflict, that's further fueling this, and that's also finding divided itself on religious lines, Hindu versus Christian, between the two tribes largely, I'm saying that. On 1st of September, armed immigrant Kuki groups used an ambulance to infiltrate Meitei villages. The Kukis were armed with highly sophisticated drones to carry out attack on the Kotruk village. That's what the cops are saying, Manipur police is saying. It's a problem between two groups fighting for existence and territory. And external factors are also further fueling this disturbance. One group is backed by religion from across the globe, and the others are trying to save their own indigenous identity. Now, are the West and China fueling this violence? Intel sources have told CNN News 18 that security concerns are huge in Manipur, with the West and Chinese influence and interference not being ruled out. China's attempt has been to control the drug economy and also have control over that entire region given its Belt and Road project and its initiative. They're also looking at a port in that region. Now, there is a possible working towards a West possibility that there is a West plot to try and carve out another state, as the former Prime Minister of Bangladesh, Sheikh Hasina, had warned. Infiltrations possibly from Myanmar and Chittagong are also taking place. The West and China are using this turmoil in Manipur to their advantage. Both these hegemonistic powers fighting for dominance in this region, using this entire region for their purpose, their own benefit. So West wants a base there to try and monitor this entire region. The PLA is building that Belt and Road initiative. They have a port and they want to connect this region and they want to control this entire region so that their economic interests and their own hegemonistic interests are protected. China and West backing the Kukis in the garb of religion. A plot to carve out a separate state using areas of Manipur, Mizoram, Myanmar's Chin and region, and also Bangladesh's Chittagong. The China is using these borders to create tension in Bharat, so it serves a dual purpose for it. It's actually the West bid to replicate the Bangladesh plot to derail Bharat. So there are multiple layers to this. There's a bid to stop Bharat's growth trajectory and push them to perhaps be mired in internal conflict so they cannot grow, or we as a nation cannot grow globally. So this will continue and there will be perhaps an escalation in this of tension in this region. Let's try and also understand another dynamic quickly. Manipur police sources have told CNN News 18 that the centre has been ignoring the conflict which has been going on for about 15 months and that the central government should have looked at sophisticated weapons being used. The centre should have heeded to advanced military tactics deployed to fight the conflict as crimes are organized and premeditated. Armed fighters are coming from Chittagong or Myanmar areas and that special training has been given to them. Now there is a reason for this also, ladies and gentlemen, that some of these who are retired people, personnel from service, who are part of these cookie groups, that's also what inputs are suggesting. Abhijit Iyer Mitra, Senior Fellow IPCS is with us. Dr. Ankita Datta, researcher and columnist with us to get us some more perspective. Dr. Ankita Datta, first to you. You have done a deep dive onto the demographics in this entire region. Is this a cookie versus Meitei? Perhaps drawn on religious lines. Is this only that, this ethnic conflict, or is there much more to it than meets the eye?
Namaste Anandji, namaste everyone.
Namaste.
There is much more to it, and I would say there is so much more to it, because what we have often seen in the mainstream media is the way in which this ongoing human tragedy has been defined, sometimes as an ethnic clash, sometimes as a proxy war. Now see, these are terms that have really failed to explain the actual reasons behind this violence and also its long-term consequences, because the conflict is certainly beyond ethnicity or beyond just two communities. Because with the aim of establishing a separate cookie homeland, which is known by several names like Zalingam, Zogam, Zoland, Greater Mizoram, or even the Land of Freedom, and this is an idea that is in itself rooted in hate and xenophobia towards non-cookies, and I remember that they had even submitted a memorandum to former Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru in March 1960, pleading for the immediate establishment of their imaginary cookie state. And precisely with this objective in mind, they have been carrying out a systematic cultural genocide, I would say, of the majority indigenous Meitei and Vishnupriya Manipuris, Gorkhas, Tamils, Biharis and Bengalis who have been living in Manipur for decades now. And these people have been wiped out from at least 8,000 square kilometers of Manipur's territory.
Wow.
More than 1,500 temples have been destroyed since the 3rd of May. And this temple destruction spree has been going on even now in full swing in Manipur, and latest was when a Pakhangba temple was destroyed by cookie militants at this village, Vial Cherao village in Thobal district. And if we go back to history, the history of the entire Northeast, especially Manipur, we would be able to understand clearly that wherever these people, the Kuki Chin Mizo language speakers, wherever these people have settled, death and destruction has followed, and these people have orchestrated at least 10. This is the 10th major attack in Manipur. They have orchestrated prior to this 9 major attacks on the non-Christian indigenous tribes of not just Manipur but also Assam, Tripura, and Mizoram since 1990. All with the intention of occupying their lands and changing the demography of the entire Northeast.
So you're saying it's a long-term project, and it's not a few.
It's a long-term project.
And it's been happening for more than a few decades, if not far more, nearly a century. Abhijit Iyer Mitra, your take on this?
So when it comes to foreign interference out here, I think throughout the period of, the Alpha terrorism in Assam, there was a lot of evidence of China supplying arms to Alpha. Most of the northeastern groups have a recorded demonstrable history of getting arms from China through the 80s, 70s, even through into the 90s. The question is, what do we have today? The evidence seems to fairly suggest that arms supply route has started up. We don't know how the arms are coming in because at least on the Burma side of the border, there's a heavy military crackdown. The drones are a very important indication because remember, most of the commonly used drones today are Chinese made drones. The ones that are available in the market are DJI and Parrot. We don't know if this is supplied. The modification for these drones to have the bombs fitted onto them, it has been democratized. So we have no way of tracing this back specifically to China, except that we know that they're using Chinese weapons or Chinese produced weapons fairly significantly. With the Americans, it's slightly different. We are yet to see any hard evidence of the American state supporting them, but we have significant evidence of churches supporting them, be it the Presbyterian or the Methodist Church. They've come out in, they've not exactly supplied them with arms or anything like that, but there's definitely some kind of PR campaigns that go on constantly portraying violence initiated by these groups as somehow response to victimization by the state and so on and so forth. The funny thing right now is even these voices haven't found any particular resonance during this conflict. So either we're doing a good job or the churches have diluted their support. The problem is there's not much information coming out of Manipur. This is both a good thing and a bad thing. I think in many ways it's diluted the mischievous effect that we saw through the 80s and 90s that these churches played out there. With China, again, China, nobody really knows how they play their hand, why they play their hand, and so on and so forth. That border with Burma is an extremely porous border. How those arms are coming in, again, we don't know. All we know is that there are Chinese arms. This latest drone attack, we still don't know the provenance of those drones is. What is the point of origin of those drones? But certainly something the Chinese could do. And in the case of America, very clearly there's been a, let's call it a sub-state support for this kind of aggressive, violent terrorism.
Right. Fair point that you've made there, Dr. Ankita Datta and Abhijit Iyer Mitra. Thank you for giving and putting matters in perspective. I have to keep this short because we had a Karnataka story coming in and we also have another exclusive story on Bangladesh coming through. Dr. Datta, thank you very much. I'm going to request Abhijit Iyer Mitra to stay on with us. So Bengal, Manipur, Bangladesh, this region sees a lot of activity of late, ladies and gentlemen. Let's move to Bangladesh and understand this. There are more exclusive inputs on how the West used Islamists to hijack the protests that led to Sheikh Hasina's ouster and the Western media's persistent denial on Hindu persecution in Bangladesh. It's a report by the Center for Democracy, Pluralism and Human Rights where it shows how the atrocities on Hindus in Bangladesh is actually being downplayed or denied. There is a certain denial by Western media outlets and also even NGOs. Their focus has been towards debunking facts while sidelining the actual atrocities and somewhere also twist the narrative around the recent floods and make Bharat the villain. Abhijit Iyer Mitra, Senior Fellow IPCS is with us. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, former diplomat, is back with us. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Always a pleasure speaking with you. Ambassador Rajiv Dogra, this is something which we've been trying to speak over a few days. Now this report that was released earlier in the day, very clearly highlighting the concerns, saying there is a deliberate narrative push to somewhere whitewash the persecution of Hindus in Bangladesh.
Thank you, Anand. But let me start on a slightly happy note. Congratulations to Abhijit for his special day today. Happy birthday.
Oh, birthday greetings, Abhijit.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Now, coming to the unfortunate topic of today, because while we are discussing this is a way of life in Bangladesh. And not just now, as the report you mentioned has indicated very clearly, from 23% of the population in 1971, the Hindu population today is just touching 8%, probably a little less. Not just that, it is the persecution in a pointed fashion whenever there is a crisis, whenever there is a change in government from Awami League to something else, because Bangladesh has had both army-led governments, dictatorships, as well as BNP, and both have been horrible time for minorities. The larger point beyond the report which I wish to make is to convey a message to Bangladesh that please don't forget that at any given time in recent years, the Bangladeshi nationals in India number between 10 to 20 million people. The numbers are not exact, but figures go as high as 20 million people. and they remain here as one of us. There's never been even a single instance of persecution. So Bangladesh needs to get its act together, because it's not just Bangladeshi nationals who are here sending money home from gainful employment here and businesses here, but also Rohingyas, which Bangladesh had pushed into India, and they also number into a fairly large thousands.
Yes.
So if India was to do the same thing as Bangladesh, then things would be miserable for Bangladesh. As it is, Bangladesh is going down the tube because Jamaat-e-Islami is in control. Army is fully satisfied with Jamaat-e-Islami's directions, and the youngsters, 2 youngsters who are in the government, are just there to be toyed with. They are there to be given instructions so that they could follow it and they could be a mukhota. They could be the show face for the people to say that, okay, now we've got the youth.
It's a disturbing trend also, and we've seen it not just here in Eastern Europe and also other parts of the world where puppets are put out. People from nowhere are plucked out and put on seats of power so that they can be puppeted by other powers that be. And somewhere this entire thought of put a zealot, put radical outfits in control and make the bully the monitor, and then tell the bully how to function because he does not know how to monitor, so we'll do it via the bully. Abhijit Iyer Mitra, is this what's happening? But in this case, why is it that these narratives get skewed with certain religious denominations? What's the West's problem or the media, Western media's problem? That's what the report is saying. Why?
So the very first thing we need to understand is this whole concept of Islamophobia has been weaponized by a certain leftist takeover of Western media. You look at the BBC, most of the operative ground level, almost I would say the blue collar levels, as much as you can call the media blue collarish in media, are Pakistani origin people and Bangladeshi origin people. The Silhetis in Britain are extremely powerful politically. In America, you have not a media domination, but the Muslim electorate out there comes out and vote. They can be relied to come out and vote every single time. And they're very good with tactical voting. In Germany, for example, Deutsche Welle, again, the ground levels are completely staffed by Turks. The other 2 big, if you want to call them media channels, with more propaganda channels, are TRT from Turkey, which has been subsidizing a lot of Kashmiri separatists as well and inducting them into their fold, and Qatar's Al Jazeera, which has been at the receiving end of American airstrikes because they believe those correspondents to be essentially aiding and abetting Al Qaeda.
Right.
Now, when you have this kind of infiltration of media and a political power where you can actually show people that they come out and vote, because especially Pakistanis and Bangladeshis, if you look at Britain, if you look at America, they tend to be at the lowest rung of the ladder. So there has been a complete weaponization of the community and the peddling of certain one-sided narratives to suit domestic politics there, but impacts our national security out here. So if you take an NGO or a media house, the same standards which they will apply, where one person gets killed, it's a precursor to a genocide. The new, what is that Bhumi being built, the convention center outside Delhi?
Yashobhumi.
Yash Bhumi, it isn't actually a convention center. It's actually a gas chamber being set out to kill India's minorities. You literally hear this kind of, I'm being hyperbolistic.
I understand. I understand what you're saying.
But they will not even apply that same standard. It is the same channels that keep propagating this nonsense of India being extremely intolerant and fascist, that have gone out of their way, not just to deny everything being done to Hindus, but to also provide an apologia for it. The only Hindus attacked were those close to the Awami League. They didn't mention the 200 temples attacked. Temples were not close to Awami League, they're public places. Why were they attacked?
Patronize.
And they also contradicted themselves because they themselves have reported the attacks on Hindus and Hindu places.
Fair point. Gentlemen, we've got to have a longer conversation on this. I have paucity of time. We've got to take a short break quickly. Stay with us.
controversy. In fact, they contend that the show should have highlighted the fact that the hijackers were 5 Muslim terrorists and 2 of them in fact had used Hindu aliases. Netizens have accused the filmmaker Anubhav Sinha of deliberately distorting facts and has even labelled his work as propaganda. Now, several top BJP leaders have also raised objections and questions to the portrayal of events in this series. BJP IT cell chief Amit Malviya has said that the hijackers were dreaded terrorists who acquired aliases to hide their Muslim identities. He in fact posted on the social media platform X saying, and I quote, "Filmmaker Anubhav Sinha legitimized their criminal intent by furthering their non-Muslim names. Decades later, people will think Hindus had hijacked IC-814. Well, joining him was former Union Minister and BJP leader Rajiv Chandrasekhar.
I vividly remember IC-814. I was very aware of that accident and very involved in following that. Every man and woman in India and indeed in South Asia knows that hijack of IC-814 from Kathmandu was committed, that act was committed by Pakistan's ISI-backed terrorists. Now, nobody thinks that there were some people from India who did the hijacking. So how the people have Hindu names in that movie, I don't know. But I'm very, very happy that the INV Ministry and the Government of India has taken cognizance of this and has summoned Netflix.
Well, there was stiff opposition and criticism to the depiction of these terrorists in a softer light and humanizing them as well. The series is adapted from the book Flight into Fear, the Captain's Story, that has been written by journalists Srinjoy Chaudhary and Devi Sharan, the captain of the hijacked flight. This series stars Vijay Varma, Nasiruddin Shah, Pankaj Kapoor, Manoj Pava, Arvind Swamy, Anupam Tripathi, Diya Mirza, Patra Lekha, Amrita Puri, Divyanu Bhattacharya and Kumud Mishra in key and very significant roles. Amid the growing controversy, the government has taken note of this public outcry. The Ministry of Information and Broadcasting has now summoned Monica Shergill, who is the content head of Netflix India, to address this matter. The ministry has also told Netflix to keep religious sentiments in mind. Netflix team has assured that content will now be reviewed and in future content on platforms will be in acceptance with sentiments of our nation. Netflix has also assured that all security concerns will be addressed in the future as well. They will also review all the content and will revert at the earliest. According to sources, while the government has no immediate plans to ban the series, officials from Netflix, its content head, have been now asked to find a way to resolve this controversy. The ministry is also likely to summon the filmmaker Anubhav Sinha, who is the maker of the series. For now, Netflix has given full assurance to be mindful of national security and children's sensitivity while putting out content on the OTT platform in the future.
There is a lot of conversation around how the hijacking of IC-814 has been portrayed in the latest web series. Here are some of the unknown and untold stories around this entire fateful event back in 1999. Untold story number 1. Did you actually know that the actual call made by top government officials via landline, we didn't have caller IDs and mobiles then. So the real call was actually not obliged or listened to. And a fake call, a call from a fake number to the ATC or the air traffic control was listened to at Amritsar. And that proved to be a game changer. It was a fake call purportedly from the Union Government Joint Secretary J. Lal that forced Raja Sansi staff to withdraw the barricades and allow the flight of IC-814 out of Amritsar. The CMG or Crisis Management Group calls were actually ignored, thinking that they were a hoax. So the real became fake and vice versa. What a twist of fate. Anyways, here's what happened. After touching down at Amritsar, the captain wanted the plane refueled, and according to sources, no visible efforts were actually being made or seen to rescue the plane, as no one knew that this was actually the IC-814 that had gone missing from the Tribhuvan airport in Kathmandu. The captain knew that the situation was dire, but tried his best to secure the plane and its passengers. In the meantime, call from the Crisis Management Group or CMG came. The message relayed at that point to the ATC at the airport was that they wanted the plane to be immobilized and to slowly move tankers thereafter so that the hijackers would think that the tankers are slowly approaching for refueling. CMG calls were identified as one from Rube Lal and another that was done by the then Union Cabinet Secretary himself. And they said that they wanted the flight to hold its ground at Amritsar. The idea was to dispatch the NSG and then start the ground action with the local Punjab police. Suddenly another call comes from a number and they said that the plane should be fueled immediately, and the airport authorities acted immediately on those directions, perhaps not realizing that this call that they were responding to was actually fake and perhaps was done by the ISI to mislead authorities, saying that it was a joint secretary from the Ministry of Civil Aviation and he identified himself as jailer. He also directed the authorities to give a clear path to this entire flight immediately. The Amritsar airport was anyways in a state of confusion. There was chaos. Things were all over the place. It was evening time, situation chaotic. There was a shortage of staff, stretched, tensed and confused. They obliged this wrong call and refused to listen to any further calls or instructions from the CMG or the central government, thinking all the other calls are fake. Thus, the IC-814 that should actually have been grounded in Amritsar itself was allowed to take off and head out towards its next destination that eventually ended up being beyond the Indian airspace. On further and close analysis of the entire sequence of events, there are two opinions that largely have surfaced, and you're welcome to swing towards either one. The first opinion is that the call was actually made by someone who posed as someone from the Ministry of Civil Aviation but was actually an ISI agent or someone working with the ISI in Pakistan, and they wanted this flight to be given a clear path and exit out of Indian airspace so that it falls into an area where the Pakistanis then control the narrative. The second opinion, and many lean towards this too, that there was someone from the former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee's office who didn't want hard action or commando action because they feared for the life of one of their relatives who was in that fateful flight. Let's move on to another story that is not spoken about or perhaps you've not heard before. This is a very interesting facet that is not much talked about. The flight IC-814 eventually landed at Kandahar in Afghanistan. Taliban-led regime there was a pariah to the world. Officially, most nations, including Bharat, had severed diplomatic ties with Afghanistan at that time. So there was no talk with them at all, no diplomatic relations. Not many people know that IC-814 was actually carrying an RNAW officer on board. The RNAW officer, with about 13 years of service in the IPS, was on board. Now here is the untold story, and you're hearing it first here at CNN News 18, that the Taliban head, Mullah Omar, possibly knew about this officer but deliberately did not harm this officer. He did not tell the Pakistanis or the hijackers that there was an RNAW officer in the flight. This has been confirmed by none other than Mullah Omar's son Mullah Yaqub to CNN News 18. I'll tell you that in a bit. According to sources, immediately after the hijackers got into the act, this officer realized that something was amiss and was aware about the hijacking because of the sudden movement of certain passengers into the cockpit, etc. Now, during this period, he immediately concealed his identity card. They didn't have lanyards, etc. There was just basic identity card. He just stuffed it between some seats and tried to act normal as any other passenger. He knew his recognition or capture could be a big negotiation point for the hijackers. His presence on board that flight was unusual. It was a quirk of fate, and it could actually have caused a huge problem for the government back then, the Indian government. At one stage, the Taliban was fully aware of the presence of this RNAW official, and when CNN News 18 interviewed Mullah Yaqub in Kabul post the return of the Taliban in 2021, Mullah Yaqub, after the interview to CNN News 18, suddenly called our crew back. He asked them to stay where they were and wait. He went somewhere, came back after 30 minutes and told CNN News 18 that we love India and Indians. He added that his father Mullah Omar never harmed IC-814 passengers and your intelligence officer who was inside. He said this, then he laughed and went back again. So there you go. The Taliban knew, and Mullah Omar, there is a history there. He is actually trained in Bharat with the academies here, and he had a close affiliation. Perhaps all of that came into play Who knows? But this is what CNN News 18 was told. The third story, quickly. The IC-814 hijacking proved to be a turning point for the internal security infrastructure and SOP in India. Indian aviation became top priority after IC-814 hijacking. The CISF airport sector was actually raised. NSG marshals became an integral part of sensitive flights. IC-814 was a major event that changed aviation security completely. CISF, which was restricted only to the security of government buildings and installations until that time, was then tasked to secure airports across Bharat. Earlier, airports used to be manned by the local state police, but then the union government realized the need for bringing central forces to establish a unified command because aviation was a central government chapter. That is when the airport sector within the CISF was created, and it has now become the biggest unit of the CISF. Similarly, NSG, whose job was to conduct anti-hijacking operations, was not sent to Amritsar because a timely decision was not taken at that time, and reportedly there was a delay for them to travel from Manesar to the airport, which proved a critical factor. So one of the biggest changes made was that an anti-hijack unit is now always stationed at main airports, which is ready to fly within 5 minutes of any alarm that's caused of a hijacking or otherwise. After this, NSG hubs were also opened across Bharat to do such operations and also to minimize the response time. The Parliament attacks of 2001 and the 26/11 Mumbai attacks were also important contributing factors. After IC-814 incident, it is now mandatory for air marshals to be on board sensitive flights in any numbers and be fully equipped. And according to sources, even the flight crew are not aware of these marshals nowadays, and much of the operational details are not available in public domain. Post IC-814, the Indian Airlines suspended all flights to and from Kathmandu for 5 months. So flights to Kathmandu resumed 5 months after their suspension on the 1st of June 2000. The airline retained the same flight number IC-814, which also served as a constant stark dark reminder to all until the IC code eventually was retired post the merger of Indian Airlines and Air India. But till date, we see an extra drill at the Tribhuvan airport in Kathmandu. After security and immigration check just before entering the flight, near the ladder, Air India and other private airlines check each and every passenger's baggage again, which is unique and perhaps only happening in the flights from Kathmandu to Bharat.
Co-powered by
Netflix's latest web series and filmmaker Anubhav Sinha's IC-814, the Kandahar hijack, has sparked a massive controversy. Using hashtags boycott Netflix, boycott Bollywood and IC-814, many ex-users have shared posts claiming that the makers changed the names of the hijackers to Shankar and Bhola to allegedly protect the terrorists who belong to a certain community. This series on the 1999 hijacking of an Indian Airlines flight by terrorists has now been accused of distorting facts, whitewashing terrorism and offending public sentiments. The massive uproar has led to the Indian government to summon the content head of Netflix India. Let's just tell you about the incident hijacking of IC-814. Indian Airlines flight IC-814 was hijacked on December 24, 1999. The plane that was carrying 154 passengers and crew was hijacked by 5 terrorists 40 minutes after it took off from Nepal's capital Kathmandu and was bound for Delhi. The hijackers, identified as members of the Pakistan-based terrorist outfit Harkat-ul-Mujahideen, had diverted the plane to Kandahar in Afghanistan that was then under the control of the Taliban. The crisis, which lasted 8 long days, during which these terrorists demanded the release of 3 high-profile militants, Maulana Masood Azhar, Ahmad Omar Saeed Sheikh and Mushtaq Ahmad Zarkar, the Indian government, under immense pressure to save the lives of hostages, ultimately agreed to release those 3 militants. Former External Affairs Minister Jaswant Singh, in fact, had personally escorted the terrorists to Kandahar, a move that still remains, to date, the most controversial. So what is the IC-814 row all about? It's a series that has been released on Netflix and it's based on the real-life hijacking in 1999 And this series chronicles the horrific experience of the passengers and the crew members and the challenges that they faced by the government as their flight was diverted to multiple locations before finally ending up in Taliban-controlled Kandahar in Afghanistan. The hijackers in this series are depicted with the code names Chief, Doctor, Burger, Bhola and Shankar. However, it's the use of the names Bhola and Shankar that hasn't really gone down well with the viewers, which has now triggered this massive controversy. In fact, they contend that the show should have highlighted the fact that the hijackers were 5 Muslim terrorists and 2 of them in fact had used Hindu aliases. Netizens have accused the filmmaker distorting facts and has even labelled his work as propaganda. Now, several top BJP leaders have also raised objections and questions to the portrayal of events in this series. BJP IT cell chief Amit Malviya has said that the hijackers were dreaded terrorists who acquired aliases to hide their Muslim identities. He in fact posted
Hello and welcome to Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. We're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 studios. The Himachal Pradesh government is neck deep in debt. It is so loaded in debt that it is not able to pay more than 2 lakh state government employees their salary for the month of September. The state is more than 87,000 crores in debt. So much so, the Chief Minister Sukhwinder Sukhu and other ministers in his government have decided